federal government of Nigeria is saddened by the decision of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso to leave the ECOWAS regional bloc. The spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Francesca Omayuli, says Nigeria has worked sincerely in good faith to reach out to all members of the ECOWAS family to resolve difficulties being faced by the three nations, and that doors are open for more discussions. The Foreign Affairs spokesperson says the military leaders in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso are trying to deny their people the sovereign right to make fundamental choices over their freedom of movement, trade, and right to choose their own leaders. Nigeria, therefore, stands with ECOWAS to emphasize due process and shared commitment to protect and strengthen the rights and welfare of all citizens of member states. Governor Biodoye Banji of Ekiti State has condemned Monday's attack in Okeako area of Ekiti State, which left two traditional rulers dead. They are the Onimojo of Imojo Ekiti, Oba Samuel Olushola, and the Elesun of Eshun Ekiti, Oba David Ogunshola. They were killed in an ambush by armed men while returning from a meeting. The third traditional ruler, the Alara of Araikiti, Oba Adebayo Fatiba, escaped the attack. In a statement, Special Advisor to the Governor on Media, Yinka Oyebode, says security agents have been deployed to the area to fish out the perpetrators. The statement expresses the governor's condolences to the affected families and urged them to remain calm and refrain from taking laws into their hands, while assuring them that justice will be served. Collaboration with the private sector is key to addressing educational challenges and creating a more enabling environment for teachers and students to acquire quality and qualitative education that will help them live a successful, bright, and fulfilling future. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stated this at a stakeholders forum to commemorate this year's International Day of Education. Ese Onwamaka reports.
There is no gainsaying that education is a human right, a public good, and a public responsibility with the potential of driving economic progress and building a more peaceful and sustainable society. In commemoration of this year's International Day of Education, a stakeholders forum was organized by the Lagos State Government Teaching Commission, TASCOM, with the aim of seeking transformative ways in enhancing the quality of education in Lagos State. Delivering his keynote address, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu called for more collaborative efforts in providing educational opportunities to all children in the state.
We want people that will sit and put in place, skills and knowledge that we can use to advance, the education sector. For us, we said that we need to tackle it in different verticals, provide an enabling environment, create the infrastructure and the process that can make it work, make sure that the pupils are encouraged, they are happy going to school, but more importantly, collaborate with stakeholders, collaborate with international organizations like Teach for Nigeria, and make sure that an encompassment is an embodiment of what works and what really, needs to be happening.
Stakeholders at the forum emphasized the role of qualified teachers and well-equipped students in changing the narrative of the Nigerian society.
The inequality and inequities that children face in our country today is one that is deeply systemic and complex. And if education is the only hope to lift every human being out of poverty.
We're taking this Teach for Nigeria program across Nigeria to all 36 states over the next 5 years.
In the mood of the celebration, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu promised a 50,000 naira incentive for each fellow of the Teach for Nigeria Institute for their efforts in enhancing the quality of education in Lagos State. In Lagos, Ese Owamaka, NTA News.
As a way of sanitizing the process, for conduct of the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board JAM has withdrawn the license of a computer-based registration center in Lagos over cyberbullying. Diana Ajala reports that 2 persons arrested for alleged involvement are presently in police custody.
While many candidates are preparing to meet up with the cut-off mark of external examination, particularly JAM, into tertiary institutions, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAM, is working on the right and legal procedure is paramount. Ajibola Oladipo is not only a JAM syndicate, he is also alleged to be involved in cyberbullying with one Jaya.
We identified the center, as you can see here, and since our system identifies who has registered a candidate, we were able to apprehend both the person that registered the candidate and the person that approached the minor.
Officials of the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board swung into action and Ajibola was arrested, along with his accomplice Adewole Olayemi, after the mother of Jaya found a text message and cried out for her daughter's protection online.
Centers that infringe on any of our policies, their access is immediately withdrawn. Ready? Just to assure Nigerians that JAM will always swing into action wherever any case against any candidate is reported, and we take such issues as data protection very, very seriously.
JAM ICT consultant Damilola Bamiro warned all involved in such crime to refrain or face the wrath of the law. He, however, noted that candidates already registered in the center have nothing to worry about, as they will be allowed to sit for their examination in any of the centers within the environment. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
You're still watching Panorama on the network service of the NTA. It's time for us to take a break. There will be more reports when we return to stay.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Thank you for still staying with us. Stigmatization of persons with leprosy is as old as the disease, to the extent that the disease and poverty goes hand in hand. Although modern medicine with its multi-drug therapy has been effective in tackling the disease, it is only if it's diagnosed early. In the special report, Larry Belay takes a look at ways stigmatization of leprosy could be mitigated in the country.
With leprosy are stigmatized for life to the extent that the ones cured of the disease preferred to stay in leprosariums or far away from people living in squalor. Medical journals point to the fact that the deformity it left the victims with is often the cause. Another is the perception of people is such that leprosy in its varied forms is infectious and sufferers are worthy of being discriminated against. It has become so bad that some, after their cure, go about begging for alms. They are seldom welcomed back into the society, thereby wallowing in poverty, even though it's a treatable disease. Societal stigmatization has made them believe they are unworthy individuals.
Advent of multi-drug therapy, leprosy treatment has become better. The outlook of leprosy patients has become better as well. These patients are no longer infectious the moment they start the use of their multi-drug therapy. And I should let those who associate with them not run away from them. You cannot get leprosy by casual handshake or sitting next to someone with leprosy. Only by prolonged contact with someone who has not treated his or herself for leprosy.
The organism affects the nerves, and this can cause the limbs to be cut off and also cause some disfigurement. However, the person who has suffered leprosy does not have to be banished out of the society or stigmatized because of the condition.
With the myths surrounding the disease, which often fuels stigmatization, knowledge about the disease needs to be stepped up through enlightenment campaigns in communities and religious centers for people to understand that leprosy is another bacteria-causing disease and such sufferers should not be stigmatized. In Lagos, Lanre Bileyi, NTA News.
And to discuss further the disease leprosy and the stigmatization that surrounds it, I have with me Dr. Aisha Kinkube, a consultant dermatologist with special interest in triscopy, hair diseases, and leprosy. She's also a senior lecturer at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos. Thank you for joining us on Panorama.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now give us a brief explanation of the awareness campaign about leprosy, the stigma, and accurate information about how it's being transmitted. Is it communicable or not?
So leprosy is a chronic debilitating illness that is caused by a bacteria, the Mycobacterium leprae. Now, it is a condition whereby it is not easily picked up.
Okay.
Because patients present late. That is what brings about the stigmatization. So what we want to do is to ensure that the stigmatization is reduced. We need to pick up leprosy earlier, detect it, and start treatment. That's the only way we can cut out the stigmatization that comes. And why does the stigma come? Because they present late, they're coming with disabilities.
Okay.
So it is a condition that affects the skin, the nerves. It can also affect the mucosa, so your respiratory tract and your eyes. The first symptom usually is around,
a patch?
A patch,
okay.
A discolored patch. In some people it looks a little bit red, but most times it's a loss of color. So it will look lighter than your normal color.
Okay.
This patch can also progress, and then you feel loss of touch, loss of temperature.
Like numbness?
Numbness comes later. Numbness
Okay.
is more in the nerves, so the hands and the feet.
All right.
But there could be loss of sweating, and they don't feel around that area. So the most important thing is for that patch to be picked up and diagnosed. So I think the message would be, if you have a patch that you've had for a long time, you've been going to various places, we start off with the chemist, we start off with the church, you start off with family members, then you go to the nurse, and then you finally land with the doctor, and then the last bus stop is the dermatologist. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, what we want to pass on is that any patch that you have had, that you've had several forms of treatment for and it hasn't gone away, please try and ask for the dermatologist. And ask, you can even ask if there's enough awareness. We can say, do I have leprosy? That might even, trigger something so that the doctor will be like, okay, what do I do? And of course, in this day and age with social media, there's a lot of information out there. So we want to create awareness amongst healthcare workers, amongst communities, and all over to Nigerians, to let them be aware of leprosy.
Okay, is it possible for any Nigerian to just walk into a dermatologist's office and say, I want to check for leprosy, just the way we'll go and check for HIV and malaria, as the case may be?
Well, you would have to have reason to do so. But yes, you can walk in. There are dermatologists at the state hospitals, there are dermatologists at the federal teaching hospitals, and there are a few in private practice scattered all over Nigeria.
Okay, because a lot of people will be ashamed of, coming out to say, I think I have leprosy, and that immediately that person will be stigmatized against.
So we don't use the word leprosy.
Okay.
We term it Hansen's disease. That's what we use, because leprosy, the word itself is stigmatizing because everybody knows about it, right? So it would be Hansen's disease. In the hospital setting, that's what it would be. I quite agree with you that even within the hospital or some areas, you might feel some stigmatization. But within the clinic, we don't segregate. I'll see a leprosy patient or a patient with Hansen's disease, and I'll see other patients. They're not, kept aside. But the most important thing is getting the recognition of the disease and starting treatment early.
All right. Apart from that, you said it is not a communicable disease, right? How do people now get it?
So, this is how it works. It's transmitted through nasal droplets. So, and it's not easily transmissible. It takes a long time. It has a very long incubation period. So it's close contact. So it's not that I ride in a bus with you or a handshake like my colleague had already mentioned. It is a long, prolonged contact. So you don't know, as I have a patch now, I'm living with someone, I'm living with my family members, or I'm in a dormitory, I'm in the institutions, because we're having a lot of it in the institutions too, that are overcrowded as well. So people stay for a long time. And that is how it is, from coughing, from, at some point you can even have what we call nosebleeds, epistaxis, blood coming out of your nose. So that in itself, and at that stage, is when they are infectious.
Okay.
So the earlier we diagnose it and start treatment, once you've started treatment, you're not contagious.
All right, now, let's look at the self-perceived stigma. This is a major, issue in the diagnosis of a disease. When infected persons hide the symptoms before coming out, for diagnosis, and this can be, too late in the day. So how can we tackle this?
So the stigma comes in different forms. And why is there stigmatization? The age-old cultural thing that it is a curse, okay? So you have something, by the time you're getting to disabilities, the claw hand, the long-standing wound an ulcer on the foot, which now results in, palsy, so you have a foot drop, you have eye affectation and things like that. So it now gives you a disability. With your disability, you don't feel comfortable. You hide. The family members know you have something, they also shield you. So that is where the stigmatization comes. Stigmatization comes from self-stigmatization, from perceived stigmatization, from stigmatization from institutions too, because at some places too, I cannot guarantee how the person, if I see someone or another patient is in the waiting room, sees someone with something, you move apart, you do this, you do that. So what we need to do is just continue to create the awareness, but the stigmatization is there. Now, you talked about what can we do? For instance, I know that there is new acts about disabled individuals. For instance, in the last elections, they've been excluded. It's more of inclusivity now. Yeah. So you want to make sure that people who can't see, people who can't read, people who have disabilities can take part in the elections. That's one good step. But then it's about, what can they do in their own environment? Can they learn skills?
Can they contribute?
Can they contribute? Can they pick up skills whereby, they can make like weaving, basket weaving, woodwork, any kind of thing, farming, things like that. But then you have to adapt the tools, because if they have a disability, those tools need to, be adapted for them in particular.
Okay. Concerning the clinical skills, is it a challenge? Do we have enough clinics to take care of this patients? Quickly before we round up.
Okay, so we have the National TB Leprosy and Control Program. It's already in place. Okay. The drugs are available. They're available in most teaching hospitals and various areas where the program exists. So the drugs are available. The problem is getting them there, getting diagnosed, being picked up. So what can we do? There is already a lot by the National Program on NTDs, because it is a neglected tropical disease, the Federal Ministry of Health, the Nigerian Medical Association, and even the Nigerian Association of Dermatologists, whereby we're trying to scale up that ability to recognize and pick it up early for early detection and prompt treatment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aisha Kinkube, for enlightening us more on leprosy. All right, thank you so much. Moving on now, the announcement of the passing of Chairman Digitem Edward Amana, created a vacuum in the NTA family a couple of weeks ago. However, the NTA as an organization, his immediate family, friends and associates have taken solace in the fact that he lived a fulfilled life of hard work and resilience. Omenka Marachuku reports that adjectives were not handy at the night of tribute to eulogize the character and person of the former executive director of engineering NTA, late Edward Idris Amana, who passed on at the age of 73.
And take solace in the fact that your daddy led a very good life. Your daddy was not just an engineer, was a patriot. And I know that God, in his infinite mercy, will grant him eternal rest and will be with all of you.
These are kind words to honor a man whom those who cross his path say contributed greatly, not only in the engineering field, where he served in various capacities, but in every feat of life. The Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembus, also described him as one who has left an indelible mark on the sands of times and urged all and sundry to emulate the good legacies of late Engineer Amana.
As he related with the various departments, you would be pardoned to think that he belonged to another directorate other than engineering. He was as comfortable in the news directorate as he was in the programs directorate, as he provided support to each and every one of these directorates.
He gave a very good record of himself in the NBC and made me very proud and made the ministry proud and made the nation proud. Eddie, I praise and thank God for your life.
Someone who is always with a smile, someone who has the softest, kindest words for anybody in any situation.
Eddie has the greatest heart in this world.
Was the chairman, DG team, who played a leading role in the competitive broadcast industry. In Abuja, Omenka Marachuku, NTA News.
What's update?
Round of 16 matches at AFCON 2023 will be completed Tuesday in Côte d'Ivoire as Mali takes on Burkina Faso. The Malians recorded a win and 2 draws at the group stage, while Burkina Faso recorded 2 wins and a draw. The last match in the round of 16 is between Morocco and South Africa. Morocco recorded 2 wins and a draw at the group stage. The Atlas Lions have reached the quarterfinals in 2 of the last 3 AFCON editions.